Elimination Chamber has come and gone, ladies and gentlemen. This is the aftermath of what we got. Was it a good show? Was it a bad show? I felt like the WWE did not want to do great business with this because, let's be honest here, this is supposed to be a throwaway show on the network. And we got some great matches on that network. We got some great matches for this Elimination Chamber. But I really felt like they didn't want to pull the trigger on stuff they should have pulled the trigger on. But they did do some things that I will admit I'm very happy they did do. Let's get to the match. Well, let's do the pre-show first. I want to get rid of Daniel Bryan and The Miz. I'm not even going to talk about seeing Zack Ryder and seeing Stardust. That was not even worth it. I'm sorry, it wasn't. But when you look at what happened with The Miz and Daniel Bryan, you think, oh, it's so great to see Daniel Bryan. And this is what I expected. I said this earlier. What can Daniel Bryan do now? What's next for him? Well, like Austin when he broke his neck and he could not do anything for a while, he just did stuff behind the scenes and worked behind the camera. Basically, he was there. He did whatever was entertaining. He did whatever would help storylines. That's what he did, and that's what we're getting from Daniel Bryan. And when you see the Mega Power Light, you really wish that Damien Sandow was not utilized in this respect. I really wanted to see him have his own character and really go beyond that, but we didn't get that. When it comes to Curtis Axel, he's pretty much in the same boat, but I think he's a little more over, essentially, as Hulk Hogan. I'm sorry, he's a little more over than the macho madness of Macho Mizdow. I'm sorry, he just is not as over as a Curtis Axel. And that's not saying much either. They're both stuck. But it was nice seeing Daniel Bryan being used in another capacity other than wrestling. Now here's the first match of the night. I want to get it over with. That was a huge clusterfuck. I'm not saying it was bad. It was a very interesting match of seeing the primetime players, the Lucha Dragons, who did a very good job. Seeing Kalisto do what he did from the top of the chamber and filling everybody, I'm hoping he didn't break Cesaro's shoulder because he fell mostly on Cesaro. So I'm hoping Cesaro's okay. It was a big clusterfuck. It doesn't mean it was a totally bad clusterfuck, but it was a big mess. The primetime players and New Day are going to be the ones who's going to be fighting over those belts. And you know what? I'm going to say this honestly. I want to see a black wrestler get to the top. But we never get that in the WWE because of Vince and Kenny McMahon. But when was the last time you saw two black teams go up against one another for the tag team belts? I don't remember the last time I've seen it. And I believe the primetime players and New Day will be fighting against one another for those belts. And as minuscule as it is in the grand scheme of things, and I'm not putting them down, the WWE probably did this as a happenstance. They had to do something with probably the primetime players because they're still pretty popular. They got to do something with New Day because they're getting some really wacky traction, which isn't very good at all. You put them together, people will be interested. They'll say, oh, let's get these guys together. Happen to be that they're both groups of black. Let's be honest here. But still, it's good to see that two black teams are actually going against each other to get the titles. Instead of one black team and one Spanish team, one black team versus one Samoa team, it's two black teams. I'm going to see it in that respect. The minuscule of a silver lining in that situation. Because neither one of those guys got any character that's totally compelling or not. Even if they are to an extent entertaining. I'm going to the IC Championship now. I know I could go in order. I'm not doing it. Things I need to say are going to get said. Because there are very few matches in this Elimination Chamber. The IC title went to the right guy. If people believe that Ryback was not the right guy to get that belt, and it had to be a Dolph Ziggler, or it had to be a Bad News Barrett, who else? R-Truth for matters. You tell me the reason why one of those guys had to get it. Because there's only one person that truly needed that belt. And that was Ryback. Because he's the most wanted, the best polished. And I'm not saying the best polished because he has the best gimmick. He doesn't. He does not have 100% the best gimmick. But he's the most polished of anyone because they actually put some effort behind him. When he worked with Bray Wyatt, I'm being honest here, it wasn't a great feud, but at least both of them are known enough that they're liked. And that's the reason why he's the most polished. And I'm telling you right now, he was the best person because now you can go from there. And I'm going to be doing a debate of the week on Ryback, as well as a couple other people. Next, we have a very sad match. And that was Bo Dallas and Neville. The reason it's sad isn't because the match was bad. It's because by the time the match happened, it was right after, I believe, the Cena match with Owens. And the crowd was pretty much flattish. They lost a lot of traction due to the fact that that match was so strong. And I really believe when this match came down to it, and it was a good match, with two former NXT stars that should have gotten more interest in the crowd of Corpus Christi than it did. And in the end, it's really not the point who won it or not. The point is they both got their time, and I'm very happy it happened, but I really felt the crowd should have been more hyped for them. But I really believe if they put them before Cena and Owens, it would have been better. Next, the triple threat. I'm getting it done now. It gets me angry with Naomi and Paige, who should have had a feud before this happened. But I don't know what the WWE was thinking. You have Paige get attacked by Naomi, who you turn heel to try and get some tractions against Nikki, who basically isn't doing anything. Nikki was a total heel who fucked over Naomi, who fucked over Paige, and when her sister Bree's husband got hurt again, she turns face and still does not lose, wins against the two people she fucked over, and the Naomi and the Paige. The belt should have gone to Naomi because they gave her the right to change her character, to change her clothing style, to let her team up with Tamina just to job. She's the one to job, not Paige. Naomi is the jobber right there. For what? Why would you keep a Nikki Bella who is 100% heel and only turn face because Daniel Bryan, her sister's husband, gets hurt? And you turn her face. And instead of letting her give up the title, and if she's going to be a face, let her rebuild herself as a face. No. You let her keep the title, fuck over Naomi, and fuck over Paige, and then you fuck over Naomi and Paige, and this is the WWE, for not letting them have their feud. Because Paige should have came back as a face, should have attacked Naomi. Naomi should have already had the belt, so Paige would have a reason to fight Naomi, even more than just her getting screwed over and not getting her title shot. That would have been a better way to go. If you're going to make it in a storyline arc, which it was not, it was bullshit, you could have done it that way. Let Nikki Bella, who had just turned face because of her sister's husband getting hurt again, lose the belt to Naomi, who is now supposed to be a really nasty heel, with her sister, and I'm talking about a Tamina, by her side, and then let a Paige come back, beat the crap out of a Naomi, eventually, not immediately. Let there be a feud for a couple of weeks to a month at least. Then you have Nikki Bella come back with her sister by her side and then reclaim the belt in about a month or two. That would have made more sense. And that doesn't mean that was a good story that I just said in the first place. You should have let Naomi have the belt, don't give a fuck about Nikki Bella, and then let her face Paige and let them have a feud. Something we have not seen yet. But this is what we got. And it fucking pisses me off. And if you guys believe Nikki Bella deserved to keep that belt, give me one hell of a reason why. A woman who turned heel and only turned face because of her sister, and they didn't even describe it, who has almost done nothing, deserved to keep that freaking belt. And if she loses the belt tonight on Raw, why the blue fuck why? For anyone who cares about the Bellas, why would she lose? And that's if she even loses it at all. Next, moving on. I'm going to Cena and Owens. And I could go to the end with them, because I only have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose left. But I thought I'd focus on this now. When you looked at this match, it was the best match of the night. And that's saying a lot. Because when it comes to Cena, sometimes he's hit and miss with his matches. But in this case, it wasn't about the match quality that made it the best match of the night. It was because he jobbed and jobbed clean for a Owens. A Kevin Steen, who's been in ROH, who never went to TNA, has now gone to NXT, dominated there, and now finally got recognition where he deserved it. He had been around longer than John Cena. He's won titles just like John Cena in different promotions. And now he's been given a good rub by a 15-time champ in a John Cena. I don't know where they go with him. Maybe because he got such an ovation by the Corpus Christi crowd in Texas that now they may actually drop the title to someone else on NXT and move him to the main roster. Either this week, next week, or next month. Because he was so well over by the crowd. This actually would be very good. And this could build into something. And I'll probably do a debate of the week on that one as well. On Kevin Owens moving to the main roster, what will happen. But the point is, this was the match of the night for the simple reason Kevin Owens was put over very well. He performed very well. The crowd was very hyped for this. They wanted to see Owens win. He did win. He spoke very well. He smacked the hand away of a John Cena saying, fuck you. Who do you think you are? I don't give a damn about what you are. Whatever. I loved it. Not only because John Cena was finally beaten clean, but it finally showed that John Cena needed to job here. Because we needed John Cena to job. And I saw that guy in the crowd who's a full-grown man, not a little kid. They zoomed in on a man going, he was a Cena fan. Dude, I'm sorry. Your boy got his ass kicked, and kicked well. Now we move on to the final thing, and that is Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And this is what I feel about that personally. Counting the Naomi match, where I believe they should have pulled the trigger on her and gave her the belt. This is also where I believe they should have pulled the trigger and gave Dean Ambrose the belt. For the simple reason, Dean is the most polished, the most loved. He is doing so well right now. I do believe that it would have been better for them to actually pull the trigger on him and give him that title instead of letting him walk away with it like he did with the Intercontinental Championship that he didn't win. Now that makes me upset because they were going through all this madness with him, kind of like teasing what he would do with the World Heavyweight Championship. And I feel that was not necessary. Dean Ambrose is over enough that if he was champ, he actually would get over. And he was as over as basically Kevin Owens was. More, in fact. They wanted to see him win. Now you could say, oh dude, the drama of him winning but then losing it, but then still getting the title. No! In this situation, it should have never happened. People have been wanting to see the Authority and Seth Rollins get screwed so badly that this needed to happen. And particularly Seth Rollins himself needs to change. He's been a heel for too long, and it's time for him to turn to a face. Seth Rollins needs to be face now. He needs it because he's become stale. We've been seeing the same thing from him for so long. It kind of reminded me of Aces and Eights and TNA. We've had the same thing. It was great when it first came out like Aces and Eights. But then they dragged it on and dragged it on and dragged it on and dragged it on and dragged it on until the point you get sick with it. And as much it was great to see a Seth Rollins cash in at Money in the Bank, not Money in the Bank, at WrestleMania 31, and he gets the title, they didn't have a choice but to do it because they had reached the maximum with him without the belt. Money in the Bank can only last for so long. And that's the reason why they finally gave him the title. But now, by him not really losing it, and they can either, several things can happen here. One, they can fight Dean Ambrose to get the belt back. Two, they can produce a second belt and say Dean Ambrose is not the valid champion, Seth Rollins is, and then they're going to have a match where they're going to combine the belts again. Or three, they beat the crap out of Dean Ambrose, and then there's a match, but then there isn't no match, and then they get the belt and give it back to Seth Rollins, and then there's still nothing going on with Seth. So there's several things they can do with Seth, but really what they need to do is turn him face. He needs to go away from the Authority, turn face, and that's what we really need. Because he's reached his maximum with the heel stuff he's doing. But this is what I believe. And what I believe is this about Elimination Chamber. Good matches in there. A great match with John Cena and Kevin Owens where Kevin Owens wins. A terrible match for Naomi where she was fucked again along with Paige in not only winning her belt, but having a feud with Paige because Paige and Naomi should have had a feud. And Dean Ambrose, who didn't win but then takes the belt away, should not have had that, and he should have won. It was still a good, solid, match quality Elimination Chamber, but storyline wise, it was not that good. But this is how I feel. What do you guys feel? And I hope you enjoyed this Elimination Chamber review. Please give me a comment below. You will be seeing my next debate of the week, and that will be on either Ryback or on Rusev. Kind of thinking Cesaro if he hurt his shoulder because of Kalisto jumping from the cage. I'm hoping nothing happened, but you will see. Have a good day and have a good night. Peace out!